Meat goes local. Food prices are higher, except for one important category, and how to create consumer demand. For August 1st, 2012, this is Food News Today. Good morning. Food News Today is sponsored by ConAgra Foods, who shares with me the desire to provide the most current, interesting, and unbiased food news. The Eat Local and Locale movement concentrates mainly on fruits, vegetables, and seafood, and much less on meats and other animal-based products. Now that's because cattle, swine, sheep, and goats that are raised on local ranches and farms have typically been processed in large-scale commercial slaughterhouses, perhaps hundreds of miles away. Four companies slaughter about 80% of the nation's cattle. So what about more local meat processors? Introducing the Mobile Slaughterhouse, which allows small and mid-sized livestock producers to avoid trucking their animals long distances to access the few remaining USDA-inspected facilities that exist, while maintaining the unique identity and quality of their farm products. The movement is strong in New York, Vermont, and Washington State, and these communities and their ranchers are attempting to put the local back in local meat. Willard Wolf, the president of Cattle Producers of Washington, says the whole idea is to have quality control and humane processing for local meat that provide consumers in the state with the locally produced products that they're demanding. Having a producer-owned plant will help keep dollars, ranchers, and farmers in our communities. After a prolonged recession, shoppers, wiser and thriftier in their shopping behaviors, have adapted to the sluggish economy. Although they're feeling more optimistic about the economic future, shoppers are still budget conscious, and higher gas prices have compounded the problem. I interviewed Carrie Shea, the CEO of AMG Strategic Advisors, on their latest report, The Why Behind the Buy, Breaking Through the Demand Creation Challenge. So tell me, what is Demand Creation Challenge all about?
Demand Creation Challenge, or as we like to refer to it as the Demand Creation Conundrum, is an interesting cycle that manufacturers have gotten into in the last couple years as we've exited the recession. Commodity prices have gone up, and as a result, manufacturers have raised prices. But consumers are not responding as well as they had hoped, and in fact, unit sales are going down. Consumers are still exhibiting post-recessionary behavior. And as a result, manufacturers have to now resort back to some pretty heavy discounting and promotional activity to get demand stimulated again. And this is obviously difficult as profitability is squeezed due to the softness in demand.
So if I look at the findings of the report, and clearly what you state is in order to give consumers what they want, you've got to know thy shopper. Isn't that basic common sense? How has the industry gotten away from realizing how important knowing thy shopper really is?
Well, two things. There's been a lot of research done on the consumer, less on the shopper. And so in our study, we really emphasize the importance of understanding the shopper and the motivations, attitudes, and fears that the shopper has, which is sometimes different than what the consumer has. But secondly, post-recession, the market has really bifurcated, and there's two very different types of consumers out there. There's the consumer that has income, household income over 100,000. And those consumers have really exited the recession. They're fairly confident. Their behavior is starting to return to somewhat of normalcy. And they are responding well and spending in the stores. The shoppers that are under 45,000 in household income, what we refer to as stretched and struggling, are still exhibiting strong recessionary behavior. Their shopping trips are down, they're heavily relying on coupons, and in many cases they're just doing without, which gets back to the demand creation conundrum. It's hard to stimulate demand when consumers are just choosing not to buy an item or buy in a category at all and forego that expense. So it really is important to understand both types of shoppers, and we're recommending that manufacturers begin to bifurcate their portfolio as well and create extreme value solutions for that stretched and struggling consumer, and then premium offers for the more affluent consumer or shopper.
And those are those innovative solutions that the report talks about?
Right, exactly. And the real importance of meal solutions, coming up with affordable solutions, again, for the stretched and struggling, and more innovative product offerings for the more affluent consumer.
Thanks, Carrie. For most food categories and for food at home in general, the prices in the first quarter of 2012 were 4.5% higher than they were a year ago, according to the USDA. Leading the increases were fats and oil prices up 11.3%, beef prices up 8.5%. But the good news is that the warm winter and favorable growing conditions resulted in a year-over-year decrease in produce prices for the first quarter of the year, with fruit prices down just over 1% and vegetable prices almost down 7.5%. Perhaps Mother Nature has joined our First Lady's Let's Move and Dietary Guidelines programs to help remind us of how we should be eating. Remember to log on to foodnewstoday.com anytime to access our archives and replay our past episodes. Thanks for watching.